id Software, the people who brought you Rage and Rage 2. Ladies and gentlemen, demons and slayers, it is I, ChollayMurphay, here with a video. And this video is about Doom VFR for the PlayStation 4. It's also on some other consoles, but we play PlayStation VR here, so we're on the PSVR version of Doom VFR. And with Doom 3 getting a VR release for PlayStation at the end of this month, I felt it was appropriate for us to play some Doom VFR. Now we're going to go in here and start a new game. Now, if you look here, the last time I played this game was February 23rd of 2020. So yeah, it's been a little while. I kind of have a love-hate relationship with this game, and I'll explain that a little bit as we go along, but let's go ahead and we'll delete this slot here. So we'll go down here and delete this game, and yes, we'll accept that. Alright, choose our slot. We're going to start a new campaign. And here we come to our difficulty settings. We have I'm too young to die. Would you get the baby skeleton in the skull thing there? And pretty much I'm too young to die. You can take the time to read it if you want to, but basically it says I'm a biatch. Then there's Hurt Me Plenty, which is pretty much the game's normal mode. As you can see, you have it's not really a normal skull, but you have a normal skull-ish. Then we have Ultra-Violence. Ultra-Violence is basically hard mode, which is how most people tend to play. Most people who play a lot of Doom usually play on Ultra-Violence. Nightmare is a different thing. Here we have Ultra Nightmare. We've got like a six-eyed ram skull. Now, Ultra Nightmare is all of the awesomeness of Nightmare mode, plus on this one, your campaign is deleted when you lose, and you can only save your progress in between levels. So basically, this is the game's hardcore modes. You know, one shot, and if you die, it's over. So why would we do this to ourselves? Nightmare used to be different in the older Dooms, the classic Doom. It used to mean that not only was it super hard, but other enemies would respawn. So we're just gonna go with Ultra-Violence.
Take sacrifice. Make your commitment today.
All right, now this is how the game starts. We are not Doom Guy in this. We are some, yeah, I hate meetings too. We are some no-name scientist or doctor or engineer. Uh-oh.
What the hell?
And then a demonic presence is detected. And as you can hear, it seems like the Doom Slayer is taking care of business. Ooh, that's a chainsaw if I ever heard one.
Demonic presence at minimally safe levels.
Alright, so it sounds like he took care of business for us. Oh, but then suddenly the cord is cut on our elevator. We fall to the bottom, and my ex-wife shows up. Sweet. That was pretty easy. We did pretty good on that. Completed.
Where am I? Oh my god, I'm dead. But not. Something must have activated the cognitive transfer protocol. This hasn't been done since Hayden.
See, that's the crux of this game. You are not, in fact, Doom Guy. You're playing as this doctor/scientist, and right after he died, his consciousness was taken out of that corpse over to the left there and put into a computer.
Combat chassis somewhere. That would work.
See, and now our consciousness is about to be transferred into an android body, a combat chassis.
Let's see what this thing can do.
And this is where we start. One of the first things you're going to notice is I am playing with the DualShock 4, but even though I'm playing with the DualShock, we still have teleportation. which seems a little bit odd because we can still move with the left stick, we can still turn with the right stick and use our head motion, but we still have the option to teleport, and that comes in handy not just as a motive of transportation, but also it gets used for something else. Another thing they give us is like a jet dash by pressing the directional pads. So let's see if this thing works. Yep, it works. All right, moving on. Now, the right trigger, of course, is to fire your weapon. The right shoulder button is what brings up your weapon wheel, and you can use the stick to choose your weapon. And you can also tap the right shoulder button to switch back to the previous weapon that you've just had out. So if you have the shotgun, you can tap it and drop right back to the pistol, and vice versa. And then if you equip a different weapon, it'll swap between those two. Of course, we got our chump sauce here. Die, hippies. Hippies piss me off. I'll stick with the shotty. Thank you very much. We'll teleport to get out of here. That's another thing about this game. One of the main reasons that they've still given us teleportation is because not only is teleportation a means of getting around, it also replaces the ability to jump in this game, and it replaces our melee attack, which is how we do our glory kills. Instead of doing glory kills in this game, you telefrag your enemies. So once you get them into a wavering or into a staggered state, you teleport into the place where they're at, and they go pop. Boom, boom goes the dynamite. Now we'll go to the grenades. That is our right shoulder button. Of course, you can cook the grenades. I don't use grenades very much. I also don't use that stupid dash stuff very often. Really, the only time the dash comes in handy is with the pinkies, but we'll see that later. And we throw a grenade up there for that demon. And we throw a grenade up there for that. Oh, there's no demon. Alright, now we come to another useless ability, which is, it's like a force push. It's basically like a burst of energy around you, and it's meant to knock the enemies off of you if you're getting surrounded, and that way you don't get crowded and you can get away and continue to move around. This wasn't in Doom 2016, neither was that left, right, forward, and back dash thing. I don't know what's up with that. I never use it. I completely forget that I even have it most of the time. Now we come, and it's going to teach us about our upgrade system, which is very limited in this game. Which, like I said, sort of makes sense because we are not, in fact, the Doom guy. We are just this consciousness in a battle chassis. Now we have the Argent Energy Shards, which will allow us to upgrade one of our three main skills, or three main abilities, which is our Chassis Integrity, our Ammo, and the Time Dilation. If you notice, when you hold down the teleport button, it slows down time to give you a second to think about where you want to teleport, but that's not really a big deal. I would focus on Chassis Integrity and Ammo above all else, and then worry about filling that in later as you finish the game. Then we get to this. This is an upgrade station for our weapons. Any weapon you have available is available for an upgrade. You only get one upgrade per weapon. There is no mastery. There's none of that. Like I said, we are not the Doom guy. We're not the Doom Slayer. So we don't get to do all of the cool stuff. We just get the most basic upgrades for the weapons, which honestly in this game is more than enough. They get the job done. And this is our practice. This is basically just where we can get a feel for things. I'm perfectly fine using the DualShock 4, and honestly, the reason I stopped playing this game in February of 2020 is because it was the first time I had played it. I tried the motion controllers, which seemed like they were going to be super awesome, but when they ported this game, they ported the controls pretty much almost exactly as if you had an Oculus Rift or an HTC Vive or one of the other PC style headsets. And so one of the problems with the DualShock is, not the DualShock, but with the motion controllers, is they didn't give you a turn button. So you actually have to physically turn in 360 degrees to move around the battlefield. Well, the problem with that on PSVR is your controllers are being watched by the camera. So as soon as you turn more than about 90 degrees, they lose sight of it and it quits working. There's also the aim controller. I tried that. It was very poor too, and I almost didn't come back to this. So the first thing it does, it sets us off to try to get the power back on to find the stuff. And as you can see, the environments are just as nuanced and just as beautiful as they are in regular Doom 2016. Now, the way we interact with objects in the background is instead of pressing A or pressing one of the other buttons, you click R3, and that is what interacts with objects in the environment. But like I said, the controls just really put me off about this. But I finally just got past the idea of using the DualShock 4, and because I really wanted to play this game, especially knowing that Doom 3 was getting ready to get a release. So we get that turned on, and then we get into our first fight of the game, and it's pretty much just, you know, a couple of these guys, which are basically equivalent of like your shotgunners or whatever, and some fodder demons and stuff like that. Honestly, this fight is almost over before it begins. Like you can hear the music's just starting to pump up. As much as I hate teleportation in first-person like VR games, the telefragging is really pretty satisfying. I have to admit that I like its inclusion, even though it's not 100% necessary. All right, BFG Division just kicked in, and we're into the start of this fight. And it's over. Our first fight was not a long one. But we go and do the thing that we're supposed to, and we come back here to operations. Now this is a cool place. As you see here, this is sort of our little hub of operations, and they have these little figures here you can pick up, so you can look at all the character models through the game. So you don't have to go to a separate menu to do that. You actually get to do it in the game, so you can pick them up, switch between the different ones that you want to see, and spin them around and get a good look at them and everything. And the detail on these models are fantastic, and you see here we can pick whichever model we want. Another option that it gives us, which is really cool, is it lets you view the model in its environment, like this. Now, I've said this 100 times, and I will continue to say it. Seeing this on a flat screen does not convey even close to how this is in VR. That is pants-shittingly terrifying in VR. The sense of scale and the sense of proximity you get from these things. Like, I'm having to actually physically look my head straight up to see this guy's face, and it's horrifying. We go over here and look at old Doom guy, look at his eyes. Even he's over here like, what the hell? Nah, he's probably like, I'm gonna kill that and rip and tear and bullshit. Alright, so after doing some more wandering around and fetch questy BS, we finally find the thing to repair the teleporter. Like I said, this is our base of operations, and this teleporter is how we get to all of our missions for the remainder of this game. Basically, what's supposed to be going on here is, unbeknownst to Doom Guy and unbeknownst to our character, we're sort of working towards the same goal.
An Argent accumulator could overload the systems and destroy the portal.
See, he realizes that there's a portal that's supposed to be opened, And if it's allowed to stay open, then the whole place is going to be overrun with demons. So he's pretty much trying for this. He's aiming for the same goal as the Doomslayer, and that's to get the portal closed to keep the demons from overrunning the facility. So really, you don't know that you and the Doomslayer are sort of working together.
To find an accumulator.
Alright, so this is our first official level, and we're going to hunt for Dr. Hayden's office to get to find out where the accumulator is. While looking around, I found this. It's the Doomslayer's sarcophagus that he wakes up in the beginning of the game, and if you teleport back here, we find one of the Doom Guy toys. So we have the collectibles just like in the real game. Not only is it cool to collect, but there's actually a reason to collect them. Every one of those that you collect unlocks one of the classic Doom levels to be played in VR, and that is freaking awesome. I didn't include any of them in this video, but if you guys want to see me play through the Doom levels, which I do end up getting I did end up getting all of the figurines, so if you guys want to see me play through the classic Doom levels in VR, then let me know in the comments below. That would be really cool. They rendered this whole level, but I searched the whole thing and there's nothing, so we just go to Dr. Hayden's office. Here we got some old artifacts and our first view of the Crucible. If you've played Doom Eternal, you know what the Crucible's all about, so that's pretty badass. Then you see Dr. Hayden's action figure set here, and we get to see some fantastic pop-in on the textures here. Also, we take a look at this beautiful skybox. It's really gorgeous, just like in Doom 2016, but we don't get to see any of that. There's virtually no outside combat. Now we get to the first hacking minigame. And if you ask me, this is really miserable. I kind of understand why they wanted to stick these in here, but really all this is just a timed button press event. And what purpose does that serve?
The last accumulator is in that prototype cyber demon they lost?
Yeah, they lost, like you lose your keys. Alright, so after we leave Dr. Hayden's office, we go back to where we came from, and it allows us to go outside now that we did that hacking minigame. And this is where we find a gore nest, and we actually have our first real fight. I pick up the Berserk here, and the Berserk works pretty much how it does in Doom 2016, except instead of course, walking up and using melee to kill anything in the environment, you have to telefrag anything in the environment, which is still really fun and really satisfying. And I think the phrase is, and that's that. I know a lot of people would disagree with me, but in my opinion, this is just the DualShock 4 is the way to play this game. And if we teleport back here, we find Turbo Turkey Puncher. Super Turbo Turkey Puncher. So also next to that is another one of the little dolls, but this is what I'm here for. I'll see you in a little bit. Well, we get back after that, and we find there's a big fire we got to put out. Apparently, the Doom guy tried to run Cyberpunk 2077 on their hardware or something. Who knows? So after that, we meander our way back into the operations room.
Was lost on an expedition. Olivia was the only person who knew the location of that first expedition.
Dr. Olivia is the skinny, scary woman there who is actually the bad guy from Doom 2016. It seems like Samuel Hayden is, but it's actually her. So now we have to go to her spot and get the coordinates so we can find out how to get the thing with the do and the who gives a shit. It's Doom. We're going to go shoot enemies, so let's do that. We show up and she's being chewed out by her boss.
Should not have allowed his location to be discovered. You have failed us.
It was not me. It was Samuel. He led them to his tomb. Please, we can overcome this. I promise. The gate will be opened as planned.
It really is how it works with any job. Everybody always blames the other shift. So we unlock her boudoir and go into her digs, and you see here we run into the hologram of the Praetor suit and the sarcophagus where Doom Guy was found. Of course, they have to put that in here. And we have another one of these stupid timed button presses. These honestly add nothing to the game. They really they're just a slower way of pressing a button as far as I'm concerned. And I hate that they add stuff like this into VR games. I know it's a VR game and they want it to feel interactive, but that's not interaction. That doesn't add anything to the game. That just slows down the pace. It's the chemical composition for Diet Pepsi. I knew that was evil magic. Hey, speaking of Doom 3, those who know. And if we check here on one of the other monitors, there's also this little mini game. This was actually supposed to be a game for Android and iOS. It was going to be like a little standard match 3 game. I didn't spend much time on it. 30 minutes. So, yeah. After we're finished with that, we go and we've got another one of these really stupid. It's not a puzzle. It's just busy work. Like I said, I understand. I guess they figure, well, it's VR, we gotta have some interactive stuff that people mess with, but really all we wanted for Doom VR was Doom in VR. And I think the added timed button press events and stuff really just detracts from the whole thing. They should have spent that time, including that stuff, just giving us more of more of Doom but in VR. By this point in the game, I had become really bored with the combat. Even though I'm playing on Ultra Violence, I was having absolutely no problem whatsoever with any of the enemies. So from this point forward, at the beginning of this fight, I switched to the pistol, and I did not use anything else for the rest of the game. No grenades, no nothing. I pretty much just used exclusively the pistol so that I could feel like I was actually doing something. Now, like I've said before, this is a slightly pared down version of Doom 2016, but I didn't expect the combat to... I don't know, maybe I've just, after playing Doom Eternal and stuff like that on the harder modes and everything, maybe just trying to come back to Doom 2016 is too easy, or maybe it is the VR, but one way or another, I mean, not, like I said, I'm no master of Doom or anything, you know, not to toot my own horn, but this was the only way that I could feel like I was really being challenged, and really, if I hadn't switched to only the pistol, I probably wouldn't have died through this entire playthrough. Now, it was about this point when I was recording footage for this game that I came to a realization. Originally, I wanted to go through this entire game and show you every level and talk about each of its key moments and stuff. But really, like I said, as pared back of an experience as this isn't a Let's Play. I just wanted to show you guys some key moments in each level, but there's really not a lot of key moments except for the gunfights. And if I showed you every minute of every gunfight, this video would have lasted forever. So pretty much I decided at this point I was going to show you my favorite fights, which includes this next fight that we're coming to here, and the fight with the cyber demon and stuff. And then I'll pretty much just wrap up and give you my final thoughts about the game. But please, enjoy. This was my favorite fight of the entire game. Yes, that was absolutely a fist pump, and I think a well-deserved one. Well, while I was searching the rest of this level, I found a little hidden compartment and found this guy, but I also found this I thought was worth sharing, rather. Somebody's sweet on old Dr. Scary Bones. If you look here, it says, This is not the end. Olivia, hugs and kisses. Ugh. Of course, we get to hell here, and we've got the icon of sin up there, and he's all spooky-ooky. But I wanted to show you this because this is one of the last fights before you fight the cyber demon. It's a fight between a mancubus and 2 barons of hell. This is a pretty interesting one. Pick up the invulnerability there, and we're able to tank some of this while we just fill him full of lead and go ahead and get a little bit knocked out of him, so we don't have to fight both of these guys at the same time. And that's how we do it. Now time for the fight with Big Mr. Spooky. Pretty much exact same strategy. Just have to do a little bit more moving around. And there we go. And he is a dead on beach. We take our Argent accumulator and move on to Pastures Green.
Overload the systems.
And that's pretty much where we're going to leave off. I'm not going to spoil the game by playing all the way through to the complete end for you, but there are a couple of levels left, but really that's about the apex of the game. There's a big final battle that you get into up at the top of the Argent Tower, but still, like I said, that's pretty much the apex as far as the the best fights in the game, as far as I'm concerned. There's a lot of flaws with this game. One least of which was, like I said, a poor control scheme that id Software and Bethesda could have very easily came back to and patched and made right. But they didn't, and that hurt the game. Plus, like I said, sticking in stupid cliche VR game stuff. But if you want some fast-paced Doom 2016 action in a VR format for your PlayStation, and you can't patch or mod your game on a piece like PC players do, then this is absolutely fun. And I loved playing through it. I had a good time despite its flaws, and I look forward to playing Doom 3 when its release comes. It's sort of a different game. It's more of a survival horror aesthetic. And be right here, folks. It comes out on at the end of this month, and we will absolutely take a look at it. But thank you guys for watching. Thank you for showing up, and I'll see you next time. If you could subscribe, share, or like, that would help me out a whole lot. Appreciate it, folks.